The Rings of Power Episode 8 season finale has finally arrived, and man does it really rings of power. We begin with tears from the audience falling from the sky and drenching the land as they experience deeply conflicting emotions. Joy now that the end of this terrible tale is in sight, and profound sorrow for all that has been destroyed in Tolkien thus far. Rings of Power wastes no time with one of its favorite moves, an obvious misdirect. The three devotees of Sauron tell the stranger he's Sauron. Quickly now, the Rings of Power pulls another one of its favorite moves in the opening minutes, devastating pointlessness. It has given us absolutely no clue as to why these people are here and why we should care about any of this. This is going to be a great episode, folks. The Harfoots have been following the wizard who shall not be named for legal reasons, and to be honest, it would be funny if he was actually Sauron and the Harfoots end up being his servants. The writing team, ever wary of an interesting idea and overly fond of long, boring ones, have the lady cult battle the defenseless Harfoots because an algorithm said at this point such a thing was needed. Next, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! The followers of Sauron have mistaken the stranger for their evil master and realize they've got it all wrong, proving they are the dumbest devotees of all time. I've just come back from the hospital after suffering an aneurysm from the most ridiculous plot movement. I refuse to call it a twist, it was so bad, in all of television history. Everyone but the devotees apparently knew that this guy was an Istari, yet it took them 8 episodes to reveal it. Things like this can only happen in the Rings of Power, folks. Now things start getting really Rings of Power. The wizard who shall not be named for legal reasons shouts, "I am Groot," hoping to get some roles in the adjacent Marvel universe. Who can blame him? We know there won't be a season 2 despite what the media is saying. This isn't me inserting a Morpheus meme, he actually does this. We are force-fed silver shiny member berries that taste like moths and are supposed to enjoy this clever reference to another movie where a wizard once talked to a moth to free him from the top of a tower, but the book material that this show paid nearly $250 million for is being used as nut tissue for Bezos' erotic escapades on his giant yacht. Sadok Baggins confesses he's going to go wandering off the trail, i.e. get the F off this show and attempt to save his acting career. No, but really he's dying, and the wizard who shall not be named for legal reasons, who we have seen use incredible magic to restore and heal whole orchards, simply blank faces the fellow. Is he waiting for someone to give him a line? What would that other wizard have done in a situation like this? Seriously, rather than even try to help heal the mortally wounded Harfoot, he just lets old Sadok die. It's the darkest moment in the series so far, which makes me think, okay, maybe this guy really is Sauron and he killed those other 3 just for fun. The Númenóreans have a Rosa Parks moment, and not the good kind either. They've put their blind regent in the bottom of a ship alone where no one can see her, which is quite discomforting considering this type of behavior has been illegal for quite some time now. Elendil gets too close for anyone in 2022, and I'm getting away from this scene because it's obvious Elendil is going to read awkward lines from the script that lead to nowhere, which is the last thing he should be doing with his life right now. Pharazôn is trying to figure out whether he should just snuff the dying king out right now, or if he should make his dumb son do it and take the fall for murder. Even though he's obviously dying, Pharazôn knows this is Rings of Power, and the king could literally be fine in the next scene because this is a strange Nietzschean universe where there's no such thing as cause and effect. Pharazôn opts for a dramatic stare and an equally dramatic attempt at murder by holding a drawing contest. Yes, Pharazôn gambles that in this crazy Rings of Power universe, a drawing contest might just kill the king and leave no trace. What will really happen next? No one knows, but it won't make any sense, that's for sure. Has a drawing ever killed a king? We'll have to wait and see. It turns out that the king does leap up out of bed just as sprightly as if he were completely healed by elven medicine. However, he is subsequently slain by a drawing. Pharazôn has proved himself to be a genius, and we must wonder at this point if Sauron will be able to take him man to man. There's been far too much resolution for a Rings of Power episode, and so it's time to introduce another strand of plot that will go absolutely nowhere. Isildur's sister goes upstairs to see something truly awful. What is it? Well, we'll have to wait at least 2 years to see, because they don't even bother showing us or even tease us with what happens. Most likely it's her acting career dying because of this show. Hey, at least the king tried to warn her. Speaking of dying, how's Halbrand doing? On the brink of death? A few seconds usually fixes that in this series. Yep, he's back up and ready to conquer the world. Just like the axe, Galadriel only too late decides to check in on the mysterious king from the South's lineage. Randamel, the random elf, appears quite randomly to do some random bidding for Galadriel. Randamel returns once more rather randomly, but honestly it just seems like he did a quick Google search to produce a scroll that will cause much fainting. Galadriel awkwardly third wheels Celebrimbor and Halbrand's sudden and deep friendship, devising how to make Mithril corrupt all things, even though as far as we know it has a magical healing power that will save the elves from dying. I could attempt a few explanations, but usually that's the job of the show I'm watching. Otherwise, I would be writing the show and someone else would be watching it. Oh my, I've been quite rings of powered. So is anyone going to explain this new development? No, but the set looks amazing, doesn't it? We've bounced from pointless non-event to pointless non-event, and next we have the pièce de résistance in the garden by a stream as Galadriel confronts Halbrand. They get into a strange psychic vision duel which is just as boring and terrible as the one in the Wheel of Time, and you would have thought the analytics these companies use to write would have advised them to devise a more interesting final conflict. That would occur in a universe where there was at least no god and no devil, but in this one where there is obviously only a Satan doing whatever he pleases, we are doomed to consume poorly written content guided by superficial analytics instead of genuine invention and stuffed with hollow references instead of meaty maxims that speak to the human condition. Speaking of hollow references, the writers do manage to copy and paste another empty reference to Galadriel's speech in the Fellowship of the Rings, proving once again that they've watched the movies more than they've bothered to read the books. Bravo! Elrond stumbles around and sees his lines for next season and says he can't take it anymore and goes to tell the other elves he's quitting, but then he sees his paycheck and decides, oh what the heck, I'll take the money for another season. Celebrimbor says true creation requires sacrifice, mostly just money though, especially when you're just trying to steal clicks and attention with historically famous brands and IPs. Then, in the greatest reveal of the entire season, we see where all the money has gone. 3 beautiful rings were crafted for nearly $1 billion, and it all makes sense because there's no way either the writers, actors, producers, or anyone else associated with this show is getting a salary of more than $1 US for this afternoon play, and their effort really shows. The wizard who shall not be named for legal reasons says, when in doubt, always follow your nose. It's a good point to keep in mind because this show has been rotten since the first episode, and we really should have known better since the first time we got a whiff of this drench. Just when you thought it was over, they wrap with a terrible 1940s crooner song to cause deep psychological scarring and increase their conversion rate for signups on BetterHelp.com therapy session. Rings of power, rings of power, rings of power, rings of power.